See, this is what I'm talking about. Turn around, look at that. You see what I mean? It's plump, it's juicy, it's 3 inches thick. Now, look at this sorry, miserable, squashed thing. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this picture?
I'm sure you've noticed in the last year or two that because you go to the store and you probably eat things like McDonald's or Burger King or fast food of any kind, that the prices of food, not only at the grocery store, have gone up, but at fast food, which is supposed to be fast and convenient and cheap. Well, it's not so cheap anymore, and a lot of this comes from several factors, and people are confused. Is it because of corporate greed? Is it because of what happened with COVID? Is it because of the supply chain? Is it because of inflation? Well, in this video here on Wrestling with Finance, we're going to talk about that and try to get to the bottom of some of the reasons that are given for it. And then I'll talk about what I really think the reasons are for the jump in fast food prices. Welcome back to Wrestling with Finance, the YouTube channel for people who struggled with finance in the past and look to do better with it in the future. And yes, we are talking about doing better in the future with fast food. And there are a number of factors listed as to why there is a rising cost in fast food. Ingredient cost is one of them. So we have inflation, and that's tied into a lot of this. You're going to see inflation come up quite a few times in this video. General inflation does affect the cost of raw materials, including the meat, vegetables, and grains. But it's not only that. A lot of fast food chains, obviously you've seen the trucks on the road, are delivered by truck, a lot of supplies. But the cost of building vehicles has gone up. The cost of fuel has gone up. The cost of manufacturing has gone up. And that also dips into the supply chain disruptions. Events like the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, we've had natural disasters. We've had wars across the world. All of that have affected supply chains. So all of those ingredients that you may get grain from one part of the world, you may get rice from another part of the world, you may get meat from another part of the world, you may get vegetables and fruit from another part of the world. All that stuff has to be transported and packaged together and processed and manufactured. Essentially, inflation and a lot of these other factors to make the ingredient, to get the ingredients to make the food that we eat has all risen sharply. The other thing that's attributed to this is labor cost. So a lot of people, myself included, has said, hey, minimum wage should go up. Minimum wage was notoriously too low for a long time. I remember when I was a kid, it was like $7.75 an hour. And I remember not too long ago, it wasn't much higher than that for minimum wage. And I'm talking about between sometime in the late 1990s up until the 2020s. So that definitely had to change. However, with every benefit, it's like everything else in existence. With every positive, there's a negative. With every good, there's a bad. And while there were significant increases to minimum wage, as many regions, especially California, have raised their minimum wage, increasing that does increase the cost of the food because the companies have to pay more for employees to work there. In addition to that, you also have, ironically enough, labor shortages because it is hard to get and to keep employees at fast food restaurants now. A job that was usually seen for people who are in retirement age or for young people who are in high school or college to help pay for some of their bills for education, or if you're 16 years old and you wanted a car, you could go work at McDonald's for 6 months and then get enough to maybe get a down payment on a car back in the past. Well, a lot of young people today, they don't want to work in fast food. The labor shortages have also been an issue with this as well, and that's also going to draw in automation, because you're going to have the cost of switching over to automation. If the businesses can't keep a lot of employees working, they're going to do things like the kiosks that we've seen pop up all over the place. And eventually, I do think a lot of fast food probably is going to be automated, and you're going to be able to run one of these restaurants with minimum 3 or 4 people. Operational costs are another concern. So there's rent and utilities. So the real estate market being what it is, and this is particularly in the United States, and the energy rates, and this is around the world, that's all going into the price of food. So as much as it becomes more expensive to rent commercial real estate or even own a building, that price has gone up because, again, interest rates have gone up. So if you're starting a new business and you're getting a business loan and you got to buy a building, then it's a lot more expensive now than it was 10 years ago because of the interest rates. Utility costs have gone up as well because energy costs have gone up, so all of that goes into the price that we're paying. Technology investments. As I mentioned before, there's online ordering, delivery systems, point of sale, GrubHub, basically DoorDash, UberEats, all of those things are taking away customer going into the store and ordering the food. And then in addition to that, you got the cost of, you got to pay the driver, and the driver's got to pay for their gas, and you got the delivery fee and all of that. Now, anybody's order from GrubHub or DoorDash or anything like that, you've seen those fees when you order and you're like, wow, it's like $25 just to get a Big Mac or something from IHOP. But even me, with this Chase Sapphire Preferred card, I get a lot of those fees waived, and you can look for down in the description box below if you want to sign up for one of the Chase cards. That's one of the benefits of having a Chase card, is that you do get some of those fees knocked off when you order, and I only order using that card. But even at that, it's still expensive to order. So a lot of those technology investments have added to the operational costs for businesses in the restaurant, especially in fast food. Health and safety regulations. Regulations keep increasing, and once regulations get in, it's very rare that regulations go away. So because you have more and more regulations being applied on, some of them for good reasons, some of them not for such good reasons, some of them are just money grabs, we all know that. But the increased regulations in health and safety, that adds to the cost. Marketing and branding has increased because with all of this, the fast food companies are competing more. So they're increasing their marketing and branding. This one, I don't think really should translate into us paying for the fast food. I mean, marketing and branding, that's the cost that you incur as a business. That really should not be passed on to the consumer, but it's kind of hard to keep them from doing it, which goes into something I'll talk about later, which is corporate greed. Packaging and environmental concerns also come into this because we're moving towards more sustainable packaging. So all the plastic bags are gone. You want to get rid of all of the plastics. We have to make new packaging items, a lot of it paper, a lot of it recycled paper, but that costs, and sometimes it costs more for this new packaging than the old way of packaging, where you could just get a plastic bag or wrap it up and whatever and throw it to people out the window at the drive-thru. You can't really do that anymore. So there's so many changes coming in with the packaging and environmental concerns. It ties into what I was talking about before with the health and safety regulations. That change, that cost, I think over time will go down. And that's one of the few things on here that I think probably will reduce as time goes on, because as we develop better technologies for packaging using things other than plastics, I do think that cost will come down. And the last one is the consumer demand. There is a growing demand for higher quality, healthier, and ethically sourced ingredients. Again, that's going to be more expensive, because not so much that they want to upcharge you because, well, you want to be healthy, so it's going to cost you more. It's more of the fact that the food industry was not very healthy before, so they're having to change everything else. Again, this is another one that I think is going to change over time, as far as the costs are going to reduce as people find better ways to provide these higher quality and healthier food choices at fast food restaurants. But in the short term, we're going to be paying for it. But the ultimate problem with that is, at the end of the day, even though those costs will come down for the businesses, that doesn't necessarily mean the price is going to come down, because as we all know, once prices go up, it is very rare, if not never, that you see them come back down. It's kind of like they push it to where they'll see the market can sustain it before the market breaks, and then they'll go, okay, we'll stop here at maybe $9 for a Happy Meal. Even though it was $4 5 years ago, maybe they'll pay $9. Are they still paying it? They're still paying it. We're still making a profit. Okay, we'll keep it at $9. Okay, our food cost, we don't have to pay as much for the packaging anymore. Okay, we could lower the price, but we're not. Now, what they usually do with that is they'll offer coupons. That's why you have coupons and all of those discounts and 2-for-1 days or whatever. Oh, limited time at McDonald's for the next month. You can get this for blah, 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 blah for 99 cents.
Fillet of fish is just $1.29 when people buy a medium soft drink with large fries.
Oh, Mr. Fish, you would think that.
McDonald's White Sale. We give you the savings, but you have to choose.
What are you doing?
Just cooling them off a little bit. Those fries are really hot.
They'll do that because honestly, they can. They could charge that all the time, but if they did charge that all the time, they wouldn't make the profit. So it's kind of in a way, a weird way of, I would call it a dividend given back to the consumer when they do those kind of specials and 2-for-1 deals and 99 cents for this month at McDonald's, you can get the McRib or whatever. That is kind of the way I look at it, as a dividend being paid back. But this comes to the one thing that I was going to bring back later, which is corporate greed. And there is an element of greed to this. Like I said before, the prices are up, and some of these things that I mentioned and listed, the prices on those things will come down. But don't expect the price of a Happy Meal to come down. Don't expect the price of a Big Mac to come down. Don't expect the price of that 3 taco meal at Taco Bell to come down. If they know that they can make that money still, even though it costs them less, they're going to keep it. And that's kind of the thing that they're thinking, is that, okay, we have to charge more now because it does cost more for a lot of these things. But when those things don't cost as much in them, well, nobody's going to know. So why would we reduce the price? And they're going to pay it anyway. You would do the same thing as well, because that's unfortunately human nature. This is where regulations do come in, but then you get the added cost of having to apply these regulations, and we pay for that somewhere else. So essentially, it's an essential loop of, we reduce costs here, we increase costs there, and it gets spread around, but ultimately the people that pay for it is us, the average person. So what can you do about it? Well, again, there are some ways to get around it. There are, if you really are savvy and you really are interested in this, you can go and do something like I said, I do with GrubHub. I use my Chase Sapphire Preferred card, so I don't pay the extra fees on it. There are a lot of credit cards that offer that. There's some other debit cards that offer that. You can go be a real super coupon clipper, like, you know, your grandma used to be back in the day. She'd go to the store with her purse full of coupons. You can be one of those people. And there's another alternative, which is probably the healthier alternative all around, both for your wallet and for you physically, which is to eat out less and to buy more food and make more food at home. A lot of people say they don't have quote unquote time to do that, but you're exchanging your time for your money. So it depends on which one is more important to you. Do you want the convenience of just being able to go down the street and get something from Taco Bell real quick, or order something from GrubHub? Or would you want to take the time the day before or over the weekend to kind of make up about 3 or 4 meals for the week, and then you'll have them ready to go, and it costs you a lot less? Because if you take the cost, you go to the grocery store and buy all the materials that you would need to make a hamburger and french fries and all that stuff, it's ultimately going to cost you a lot less than it would by going to a fast food restaurant every single day. So those are the only suggestions that I really have for this, but if you're wondering why it costs so much for fast food, it's just kind of caught up to us. All of the things over the last 5 years, especially since the pandemic, which spurred on all of those issues and problems that I listed before, along with environmental concerns, along with a lot of advocacy in Washington, along with a lot of corporate greed, all of that basically equals to you and I getting hosed. But that's what I think about this. Let me know what you guys think. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. What is the worst and most egregious increase in fast food that you've seen, where you were like, man, 3 weeks ago this was $5. How come it's like $11.95 now for me to get this hamburger, or for me to even get this salad from this fast food restaurant? Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. And as I said before, there are some free goodies down in the description box below for you. Some of those credit cards and some of those options and some of those offers you can use to kind of offset some of the costs in here. So check that out if that is of any interest to you. Till next time, I'll see you guys here for more videos on wrestling with finance. Be safe.